The geopolitical fallout from a major disruption in Russian energy exports would reshape the global energy landscape with far-reaching consequences. If Russia's economy collapses, the repercussions for global trade and supply chains would be substantial. Russia is a key exporter of energy and other vital commodities as well, like wheat, metals, and fertilizers. Any disruption in these exports would have wide-reaching consequences. Russia plays a crucial role in global wheat supply. According to the GLG, Russia and Ukraine together supply about 30% of the world's wheat, exports 60% of the world's sunflower oil, which is the third most traded seed oil behind palm and soy, and about 20% of the world's corn. A collapse in Russia's economy would severely disrupt these exports, leading to a global shortage. Countries dependent on Russian wheat would have to scramble to find alternative suppliers, driving up global prices and potentially causing food shortages in vulnerable regions. Metals are another critical export. Russia is one of the world's largest producers of nickel, palladium, and other essential metals used in manufacturing and technology. Disruptions in the supply of these metals could cripple industries that rely on them, from automotive to electronics. This would result in higher production costs and supply chain delays for numerous global industries. The fertilizer market would also feel the impact. Russia is a major exporter of potash, urea, and other fertilizers. A disruption in fertilizer supply could affect agricultural productivity worldwide, leading to lower crop yields and higher food prices. This would worsen global food insecurity, particularly in developing nations that rely heavily on imported fertilizers. Trade disruptions wouldn't be limited to commodities. Russia's role in global trade extends to various sectors, including machinery, chemicals, and textiles. A collapse would create gaps in supply chains, forcing companies worldwide to seek new trading partners and adjust their logistics. This transition would not be seamless, leading to delays and increased costs. The broader impact on international trade would be significant. Global supply chains are already strained due to the pandemic, and adding a major disruption from Russia could lead to a cascade of problems, from increased shipping times to higher freight costs. This would affect everything from consumer goods to industrial supplies, contributing to global economic instability. If Russia's economy collapses, the geopolitical fallout would be significant too, especially in terms of power dynamics and regional stability. Russia is a major player on the global stage, and its influence extends far beyond its borders. First, a weakened Russia could create a power vacuum in regions where it has traditionally exerted influence, such as Eastern Europe and Central Asia. The collapse of Russia's economy could lead to a decline in its ability to project power and maintain control over its sphere of influence. This would open the door for other regional powers to step in, potentially leading to conflicts and instability. In Eastern Europe, countries that have historically been under Russian influence might see this as an opportunity to assert more independence. Nations like Ukraine and Belarus could push for stronger ties with Western Europe and NATO, further shifting the balance of power in the region. However, this shift could provoke reactions from Russia, creating a volatile situation. But that's not all. Central Asia could also experience significant instability. Russia has long been a dominant force in this region, but its economic collapse could reduce its ability to maintain this role. Central Asian countries might face internal strife and power struggles as they navigate the reduced influence of Russia and potential interference from China and other powers. Moreover, a weakened Russia could encourage other nations to challenge its interests. Countries with historical grievances or territorial disputes with Russia might see its economic collapse as an opportunity to press their claims. This could lead to a rise in regional tensions and conflicts, further destabilizing these areas. The potential for increased instability is not limited to Russia's immediate neighbors. As Russia's ability to engage in international affairs diminishes, global power dynamics could shift. A power vacuum in Russia could lead to a realignment of alliances and geopolitical strategies worldwide. In the Middle East, Russia's diminished role could lead to shifts in alliances. Countries that have relied on Russian support, such as Syria, might seek new alliances to ensure their security and economic stability. This could lead to a realignment of power in the region, with countries like Iran and Turkey potentially playing more significant roles. Finally, the broader global power structure would be impacted. A weakened Russia could accelerate the ongoing shift towards a more multipolar world, with emerging powers like India and Brazil seeking greater influence. This would lead to a more fragmented global order, with no single nation or bloc able to dominate. And the humanitarian consequences would be severe, with widespread poverty and malnutrition being some of the most immediate and devastating impacts. The economic turmoil would drastically reduce the standard of living for millions of Russians. First, poverty levels would skyrocket. According to the International Monetary Fund, Russia's economic collapse and rising cost of living could push an additional 1 million people into poverty in the region, reversing years of economic progress. This would particularly affect those already living on the edge, making it nearly impossible for them to afford basic necessities. Economic collapse and ensuing poverty would have a long-lasting impact on the overall well-being of the population. Malnutrition would also become a critical issue. With the collapse of the economy, food prices would surge, and supply chains would be disrupted. The disruption in food supply would lead to shortages, making it difficult for many families to access nutritious food. This would disproportionately affect children and the elderly, leading to increased rates of malnutrition and related health issues. The healthcare system would also struggle to cope with the increased demand. The collapse of public services, including healthcare, would leave many without access to necessary medical care. This would further add to the issues of malnutrition and poverty, as untreated health conditions worsen the cycle of poverty. Moreover, rural areas would be hit hardest. Rural communities, which are often more dependent on local economies and have less access to state support, would face even greater hardships. These areas could see a sharp increase in poverty and food insecurity, leading to further migration to urban centers and increasing the strain on city resources. International aid and support, too, would become crucial in reducing the resulting humanitarian crisis. However, the scale of the crisis could overwhelm global resources, presenting significant challenges for the international community. Firstly, international organizations like the United Nations and the World Health Organization would likely step in to provide emergency relief. Economic collapse often necessitates immediate humanitarian aid to address basic needs such as food, water, and healthcare. This would include distributing food supplies, providing medical aid, and ensuring access to clean water for millions of affected Russians. Non-governmental organizations would also play a critical role. Human Rights Watch emphasizes that NGOs are often at the forefront of responding to humanitarian crises, providing on-the-ground support where it's needed most. Organizations such as the Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders would likely mobilize to offer medical assistance, shelter, and essential supplies. The financial cost of such aid would be substantial. The United Nations estimates that addressing the humanitarian needs resulting from an economic collapse in a country the size of Russia would require billions of dollars in aid. This level of support would necessitate significant contributions from wealthy nations and international donors. The international community would need to coordinate a massive financial and logistical effort to provide adequate support. Additionally, geopolitical tensions could complicate the delivery of aid. Sanctions and strained diplomatic relations could hinder the flow of international aid, requiring careful negotiation and coordination. Ensuring that aid reaches those in need without being blocked or diverted by political obstacles would be a major challenge. Long-term support would also be necessary to help Russia rebuild its economy. This might include economic assistance programs, infrastructure development, and support for rebuilding public services. However, the scale of the crisis combined with geopolitical complexities would present significant challenges. Coordinated efforts by international organizations, NGOs, and donor nations would be crucial to provide both immediate relief and long-term recovery support. Recovering from an economic collapse would be a long and arduous journey for Russia, requiring comprehensive strategies and substantial international support, and there could be potential paths to recovery. First, structural economic reforms would be essential.